The way we're consuming TV and video today is changing dramatically, and the industry itself is struggling to come to terms with how it should deal with this massive change in the market. Internet providers, broadcasters, media organisations and publishers are all looking for ways to best serve their customers, generate revenue and satisfy their shareholders. Does anyone know what this industry is going to look like in 3 to 5 years' time? How can we best prepare for it? And what do we need to do to help make it happen? These are questions that Cisco has commissioned Forrester Consulting to look into recently. And to help us come up with some ideas, we decided to ask the customers what they were doing today, how they were consuming video, and what they were looking for from the providers of those services. My name's Andrew Davidson, and I'm the Market Manager for Service Provider in the UK. With me is Ian Fogg, Principal Analyst at Forrester. Hello, Ian. You've been looking at this market for some time now. What do you think is causing this dramatic seismic change in the industry?
3 things, all of which are happening at once. A raft of new devices are coming through, from laptops, netbooks, tablets, smartphones, home games consoles, all of which are video capable. Secondly, we're moving from a linear broadcast world to an on-demand world, particularly pioneered by all the catch-up TV services in the UK. And high-definition TV is being adopted in very large numbers by consumers. Their expectation of picture quality is going right up. There are over 2.5 million satellite HD TV households in the UK. There are further over 900,000 cable HD capable homes in the UK as well. That's a very significant number.
So massive change, big things happening. What was it about this survey? What were we trying to do and what were we looking for in it?
We were looking to explore those 3 themes. We were also looking to probe consumers' expectations of quality, the overall quality of service, picture quality, what happens when there are interruptions to their viewing, and who consumers look to for when things went wrong, who they look to as responsible, whether it's the service provider, whether it's the video publisher or content owner.
I've been really intrigued by some of the findings of the study, especially by the consumer's view of responsibility. Who is responsible for providing the service? Is it the content owner? Is it the provider? Is it the media owner? How do consumers see the role of either the content owner and the service provider?
Consumers look to both. We asked attitudinal questions to tease out this area. 5-point scale, we found that overall consumers viewed service providers as similarly responsible to the media owner, the website publisher.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And the other thing I pulled out was there's an interesting dynamic between the age groups. So the younger people answered quite differently in some instances to the older age groups.
Young consumers are much more engaged with certain types of media. They watch certain genres much more highly than older age groups. And they're more likely to be watching TV while they're browsing the internet at the same time. They have very different behaviours, and that translates in some different expectations of who is responsible.
Clearly 3D is the word of the moment. The study looked into the opportunity that 3D presents at the moment. What did it tell us?
Well, 3D TV is further indication that high definition we see today isn't just one evolution. It's the start of an evolution on picture quality. We'll see 3D TV come to market from various suppliers. Beyond that, there's further improvements in HD, 2K, 4K, 8K, much, much greater picture quality coming through. What we see with 3D TV is there's significant interest among a minority of consumers, which is particularly striking because when we asked consumers these questions, it was before any 3D TV channel had launched in the UK. So this is before all the marketing had happened around it. Among young consumers, they're much more interested in 3D TV than older consumers, which indicates that 3D is probably a wave of the future.
HD TV seems to have picked up on people's imagination. How do you see the high-definition market evolving?
Today, we see many providers focusing on HD, focusing on largely linear-type services, broadcast-type services, often through satellite or terrestrial. The cable companies and the on-demand companies are focused much more on this real-time experience, and typically using lower-quality standard-definition TV for that. The future, I think, is both. It's both on-demand and high-definition, and that has implications for the pressure that will be placed on publishers and anyone else running video-on-demand servers, and placed on service providers that have to transmit this stuff across an IP network.
And how are they going to respond to that? Because obviously that's the big challenge for them, isn't it?
Well, the interesting thing is what that means is that for one TV program, rather than being a small amount of bandwidth, for the same TV program, suddenly the bandwidth goes up multiple times, which puts all sorts of pressure on their cost base, quality of service, all sorts of issues.
Yeah, one of the issues that I get, and I don't know if this is just me, but as I'm watching a program, it starts to buffer, I get really impatient, and eventually I start to turn off. What did the study ask any questions about that, and what did it reveal about the way?
It's not just you. I think what we found is we asked about that question for traditional TV, for broadcast, terrestrial, cable, satellite, and we found that a very significant proportion of consumers had problems with this TV freezing, blocking, picture quality issues with traditional TV. It's no longer the gold standard that it was maybe 30 or 40 years ago. It's become more complex, it's become more flexible, and more unreliable. For online TV and IPTV, a greater proportion of consumers have problems. But it's perhaps not quite that big black and white sort of good and bad between online and traditional that everyone in the industry perhaps thought.
How do they respond to it, consumers today, if that starts to break up? What do they do?
I think what consumers said was if they have problems with the picture quality, if it freezes, if it stutters, they're quite likely to give up watching the program or watching the video, which has all sorts of implications for the business model of anyone trying to offer online video. If people stop watching, you don't get advertising revenues. They probably won't pay a la carte for any future viewing. If they have a subscription, they'll think about cancelling.
Yeah, so again, that's another question that leads us into what are consumers prepared to pay? Are they prepared to pay for better services, for higher bandwidth? What have they said to us?
We had quite a few questions probing this kind of area in the study. One question we asked was would consumers pay for better broadband speed, which obviously is a key enabler for watching online video. And of those dissatisfied with their current speed, just 1/3, approximately, said they would pay more for better internet speed. We also asked about whether they'd pay for guaranteed video quality. A high proportion of consumers said they would pay for that than just straight speed. What was striking, though, was younger consumers were more prepared to pay for a guaranteed video quality experience than older consumers.
And I think also, did it say something about they were interested in paying on demand for these services rather than subscription?
Yeah, we asked about the model too, whether it was subscription or on demand, and the way the TV industry typically works, and the way the broadband internet industry works is a subscription model, largely. We didn't really have pay-per-use in internet access since dial-up. Yeah. And even in the latter stage of dial-up, it was largely unmetered. What we see with media consumption is, what consumers say is they prefer to pay a la carte rather than subscription, which is a different model to the way that all of these things are done today. It perhaps has an analogy with the mobile phone market, where about 2/3 of UK consumers are on prepay mobile phone tariffs rather than a contract subscription tariff.
Thank you. And the whole survey has been absolutely illuminating. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where the market goes in the next couple of months, really. You can join us in the networking lounge now to continue this conversation and to share your perspectives.